I don't want to make 5 different lunches every week, and I definitely don't want to eat the same lunch 5 days in a row. So instead, I'm making a handful of components that can turn into 5 completely different lunches. Same basic prep, different lunch every day. And you don't even have to make all of this from scratch for the system to work. Hi, friend, come on in. Today, I'm building a flexible lunch system using chicken, cheese, vegetables, bread, hummus, and a grain. The idea is simple. Prep a few things once, then mix and match them throughout the week instead of following 5 separate recipes. I like to start with protein because it gives me the foundation for the lunch. Today, that's chicken and some cheese, but this is also a great place to use whatever you already have. I'm using chicken breast because these lunches will be eaten cold. If you're planning to reheat yours, I'd probably use chicken thighs because they stay juicier. I cut the chicken into bite-sized pieces and made a quick lemon and herb marinade with the juice and zest of 1 lemon, garlic, olive oil, paprika, oregano, salt, and pepper. Give it at least 30 minutes, although overnight is even better. And this doesn't have to be a separate cooking project. If you're making chicken for dinner, cook extra and turn the leftovers into a lunch component. That's really the whole point of this system. Don't create extra cooking if you don't have to. I cooked the chicken in a hot pan until it was browned and cooked through, then let it cool before storing it. I'm also using some cheese. Cubes or slices both work, and together, the chicken and cheese give me a couple of easy protein options to build around. Next, I want a couple of different carbohydrate options. I'm using pita chips, and quinoa. These pita are from my skillet pita video, but any flatbread will work here. Bread also freezes really well, so when I make it, I like to make extra and freeze it immediately. For the pita chips, I brushed them lightly with oil, seasoned with salt, onion powder, and garlic powder. Then I cut the flatbread into triangles. A few minutes in the air fryer or oven gives me something crunchy for dipping. And now I have 3 different textures from basically the same category: soft pita, crunchy pita chips, and a grain. That's important because variety doesn't always require completely different ingredients. Sometimes you just need to change the form. For vegetables, use what you have and what you actually like. I'm using cucumber, carrots, bell peppers, and cherry tomatoes. I cut the cucumbers into strips and remove the watery center. Then cut the carrots and peppers into sticks too. The tomatoes can stay whole. Now I have crunch, color, and a few different textures. You could just as easily use snap peas, olives, green beans, jicama, or whatever vegetables need to be used up. This isn't a shopping list, it's a formula. Give yourself a few vegetables with different textures and flavors. The last thing I want is something that ties everything together. For me, that's hummus. I'm making hummus for dipping and then thinning some of it down with water, lemon juice, and a little olive oil to make a spread. You could do the same thing with tzatziki, ranch, bean dip, or another sauce you like. This is the component that can completely change how the same ingredients taste. Chicken, vegetables, pita, and hummus can feel Mediterranean. Change the seasonings and sauce, and suddenly you're making something completely different. I'm also making quinoa as an optional grain. You could also use rice, wheat berries, bulgur, farro, or whatever you already cook. Quinoa works well here because it cooks quickly and has a relatively neutral flavor. But honestly, the important part isn't the grain. If you're already cooking one for dinner, make extra. That one habit gives you another lunch component with almost no extra work. Everything is prepped. Now comes the part that makes this different from traditional meal prep. I'm not making 5 meals. I'm assembling 5 different lunches. First, a Mediterranean lunchbox: chicken, hummus, pita wedges, and vegetables. Turn those same ingredients into a chicken wrap with the hummus spread. Want something crunchy? Add chicken, cheese, pita chips, vegetables, and hummus. For something lighter, make a simple hummus box with pita chips, cheese, and vegetables. And if you want something that works warm or cold, use the quinoa as a grain bowl base with chicken, vegetables, and hummus spread. And this is why I like this approach more than making 5 complete meals. I'm not locked into what I decided to eat on Sunday. I can choose what sounds good when I actually sit down for lunch. Keep the components separate and assemble them when you need them, or portion them into bento-style lunches if you know you'll be grabbing them on the way out. Keeping wet ingredients like hummus or juicy vegetables separate also helps keep everything from getting soggy. And don't treat this as a rigid meal plan. The components are interchangeable. Swap the vegetables, change the protein, use tortillas instead of pita, use yogurt sauce instead of hummus. Today's lunches lean Mediterranean, but the exact same system could become taco seasoned chicken with tortillas and bean dip, or crispy tofu with wonton crackers and a sweet and sour sauce. You're not learning 5 lunches, you're learning how to build lunches from components. And one more thing, none of this needs to be made completely from scratch. I made most of these components myself because that's what I enjoy, but there's nothing wrong with starting with rotisserie chicken, store-bought pita chips, pre-cut vegetables, or a tub of hummus. The goal isn't to make everything yourself. The goal is to make lunch easier. So don't think of this as 5 recipes to follow. Think of this as a handful of building blocks you can combine differently throughout the week. What combination would you make? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more practical kitchen systems that make scratch cooking easier, subscribe. I'll see you next time.